Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here today. I used to spend hours cleaning my house thinking I'd finally get on top of the mess, only to walk into the same chaos the next day. It's frustrating, right? You feel like you're putting in so much effort, but the clutter never seems to end. And let's be honest, after a while, the thought of even starting to clean feels exhausting. I've been stuck in that cycle for too long, feeling like I was drowning in clutter and never getting ahead. But over time, I found a few simple yet effective strategies that actually made a difference. In today's video, I'll share 10 tips that help me finally get my home organized and keep it that way without constantly feeling overwhelmed by the mess. I've been using these methods for a while now, and trust me, they work. My house is finally manageable, and I can honestly say I don't spend all my free time cleaning anymore. If you've ever felt like cleaning is a never-ending battle, stick around, because the first tip is something I wish I had learned years ago. It could change the way you tackle your space. Let's dive in. Let's start with the first tip that really helped me clear up the clutter at home: cutting back on unnecessary purchases. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a store, grabbed things off the shelves, and thought, I might need this. But then weeks or even months later, it just sits there forgotten and gathering dust. And it wasn't just one or two things, it was every time I went shopping. Slowly, my kitchen and pantry filled up with items I didn't even use, and my house started to feel suffocating. After a while, I realized the problem wasn't my lack of space. It was that I was constantly bringing more stuff in. So I started a new habit, making a shopping list before I even stepped foot in a store. Now I only buy the essentials that I know I'll actually use. And it's been a game changer. Before going to the grocery store, I check my fridge and pantry to see what I already have. This simple step has saved me so much money and unnecessary clutter. No more impulse buys. No more wondering where I'm going to store everything. I'm buying just what I need, and that's it. Here's the best part. My kitchen is so much easier to keep organized now. I'm not overwhelmed by bags of things I didn't need in the first place, and my space actually feels, well, calm. It's funny how cutting down on stuff can make such a big difference. If you think this is helpful, wait until you see the next step. I'm about to tackle the deep cleaning and organizing side of things, so we can reset the entire home and finally get it to a place where it feels like a peaceful sanctuary. Trust me, you don't want to miss that video. I'll be sharing tons of real easy hacks that you'll want to try right away. But first, let's jump into how we can organize what we do need in a way that's going to last. Now let's move on to the second tip, which is all about how to organize what you do need, so that it's easy to find and doesn't just add to the chaos. Let's dive into the second tip. We've all been there, stuff everywhere. No real system in place, and no matter how much you clean, it still feels cluttered. That's usually because things don't have a proper place to begin with. When things don't have a home, they tend to pile up, and before you know it, the mess just keeps growing. The solution: effective storage. I started using IKEA storage units with doors, which helped me hide away the items I didn't need on display and create a cleaner, more organized space. Instead of leaving everything out in the open, I now have dedicated spaces for things I don't need daily but still want to keep around. This makes a huge difference when it comes to the overall look and feel of your home. What really helped me, though, was choosing multi-purpose storage things that aren't just for one use. I started using storage units that could serve multiple purposes: bins for papers, cabinets for cleaning supplies, and even shelves that could hold books or be turned into a decorative display. The best part is, these items don't just store things, they actually help separate categories and make it easier to find what I need when I need it. This simple change made my space feel lighter. I didn't realize how much clutter I was holding on to simply because I didn't have proper places to store it. Now I can open a drawer or cabinet and know exactly where things are. It's like the clutter just disappears because it's hidden and neatly organized. Now that we've tackled storage, let's move on to the next tip about how to maximize space in ways you might not have thought about. You'll want to stick around for that because it's going to change how you see your home's potential. Now let's move on to the third tip: handling old items and trash. I know how easy it is to accumulate things over time, especially things we no longer use. Old clothes papers, random gadgets. It all just piles up and starts to take over your space. And the more cluttered your home feels, the more stressed you get about it. I've been there too, and it can feel like an endless battle. To get rid of the clutter, I created a simple sorting system to make it easier to handle. First, I went through my space and picked up anything I hadn't used in the last 6 months. If it didn't add value to my life, I either donated it or recycled it. It's a habit I've adopted, and I do this a few times a year to make sure things don't pile up again. For example, I had a drawer full of receipts and old bills that I didn't need. They were just taking up space and adding to the chaos. So I went through them, recycled what I didn't need, and immediately felt like a weight had been lifted. Once I got into the habit of getting rid of things regularly, it didn't feel like such a daunting task anymore. The best part: my home no longer feels overwhelming, and I'm not constantly trying to find space for things I don't use. Now that we've tackled the old stuff, let's move on to the next tip about maximizing your space to keep it organized and functional. You won't want to miss this. Now we're moving into the fourth tip, and this one is all about organizing the small things, the tiny items that somehow make the biggest mess. You know exactly what I mean. Beauty products, PR packages, skincare samples, chargers, hair ties, all those little bits that seem harmless but end up scattered across the house. For the longest time, I kept telling myself I'll sort it later, and later never came. Before I knew it, I had random PR items mixed with my daily makeup tools, mixed with hairbrushes and drawers that looked like a lucky dip box you reach in and hope for the best. It wasn't the big items stressing me out. It was the small things multiplying quietly in every corner. What finally helped was grouping everything by category. I made sections like skincare, body care, hair products, small tools, and PR items I wanted to test. And instead of leaving them out on counters, I used small bins and trays to keep each group together. Just that simple act made everything instantly look neater. One afternoon, I took all my PR products, the unopened ones. I genuinely wanted to try and place them on a small shelf. I used 2 bins, one for new-in items, one for products I plan to use soon. The moment I did that, the mental load dropped. I didn't have to look at the pile and think, "Ugh, where do I even put this?" This kind of organization doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to make sense for you. When everything small has a home, you stop losing things. You save time every morning, and your space feels calmer because you're not constantly fighting tiny clutter. And now that the small items are finally under control, let's move into the next tip, one that helps your closet breathe again and makes getting dressed so much easier. You'll love this one. Then we've got the fifth tip, and this one is for anyone who has ever stood in front of their closet thinking, "I have nothing to wear," even though the closet is overflowing. A messy wardrobe doesn't just waste space, it drains your energy every single morning. What changed everything for me was reorganizing my closet with shelves and storage boxes, instead of relying only on hanging space. Hanging everything looks nice at first, but it fills up quickly and becomes chaotic fast. So I shifted to a mix. Some things stay hung, but most items, jeans, sweaters, sweatpants, now go on adjustable shelves. It instantly created more room, and suddenly I could actually see what I owned. One afternoon, I emptied my entire closet onto the bed. I removed a hanging rod I barely used and replaced it with 2 adjustable shelves. I folded my jeans into neat stacks, placed my bulkier sweaters into soft fabric bins, and used a small box for accessories that always used to disappear on me. The difference was immediate. It looked cleaner, but more importantly, it felt manageable. Getting dressed no longer felt like a chore. And the best part, adjustable shelves let you change things as your wardrobe changes. If I buy something new or my needs shift during a season, I can easily move the shelves up or down. It's flexible, practical, and keeps the closet from slipping back into chaos. Having a closet that works with you instead of against you is such a relief. Your mornings run smoother, your clothes last longer, and you stop wasting time hunting for pieces you know you own but can't find. Now that the closet feels under control, let's move into the next tip, a simple shift that frees up even more space by rethinking where your larger household items should actually live. And now up next is the sixth tip, and this one is especially helpful if you feel like your home is constantly overflowing with bulky household items, things like small appliances, seasonal tools, or random equipment you don't use every day. These items aren't exactly clutter, but when they don't have a proper home, they make the whole place feel crowded and messy. For the longest time, I kept my slow cooker, extra blankets, and even old extension cords sitting in corners or stuffed in random closets. Every time I walked by them, they reminded me that I didn't have enough storage, when the truth was, I wasn't using the storage I did have in the right way. One option that changed everything was using the space under the bed. It's one of the most underrated spots in the house. I bought a few low-profile storage bins with lids, and suddenly that hidden space became a clean, organized storage zone for things I don't reach for often. For example, I keep my seasonal appliances like the waffle maker I only use in the winter, neatly tucked under there. The lids keep everything dust-free, and the bins slide out so easily that nothing ever feels lost. I also use these bins for extra linens and small home maintenance items that used to wander around the house. It's amazing how much mental space you get back when those awkward items are no longer sitting out, making the room feel cluttered. What I love most about this method is that it protects your living areas. Your bedroom stays calm because everything bulky is tucked away. Your closets stay functional instead of turning into storage caves. And you suddenly feel like your home has more room than you thought. Now that the big items are taken care of, let's shift into the next tip, a simple habit that makes your entire home feel cleaner without requiring hours of work. It's small, but it adds up in such a powerful way. Here comes the seventh tip, and this one is such a lifesaver if your bedroom always feels a little too tight or a little too full. Bedrooms should feel calm and relaxing, but for so many of us, they turn into overflow storage without us even realizing it. Extra blankets, old pillows, holiday decor, backup toiletries, they all end up shoved into corners or stacked in closets that are already too full. One of the easiest shifts I ever made was simply using the space under the bed. If your bed is even slightly raised, you're sitting on a storage goldmine. I picked up a couple of low, long storage bins, the kind with lids and little wheels, and suddenly the space that was collecting dust bunnies became a clean, organized zone for everything I didn't need out every day. For example, I keep my extra comforters and seasonal throw blankets under there. I also use one bin for things like small appliances I don't use often, like my handheld steamer and backup heating pad. The wheels make it so easy to slide them out, grab what I need, and slide them right back in without making a mess. It's simple, but it makes a huge difference. The nicest part is how much visual calm this creates. When those bulky items are tucked away out of sight, the whole room feels lighter. You don't have piles sitting out, nothing feels cramped, and your closet suddenly feels more spacious because you're not stuffing everything into it anymore. Once you start using that underbed space intentionally, it's hard to imagine how you lived without it. And speaking of making daily life easier, the next tip is all about building a simple habit that keeps your home from getting chaotic in the first place. Let's move right into that. The eighth tip is perfect. If you've been feeling like your home is running out of room, the truth is, most of us actually have more space than we think, we're just not using it in the right direction. And one of the most overlooked areas is the walls. For the longest time, the walls in my home were just empty. And meanwhile, I had countertops filled with small items, side tables buried under books and corners stacked with decor I didn't know where to put. It wasn't that I needed a bigger home. I just needed to use the vertical space I already had. That's when I started adding wall shelves and mounted cabinets. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Even one simple shelf can change the entire flow of a room. I added a small wall-mounted cabinet in the hallway for our everyday essentials, and suddenly the console table underneath was completely clear. In the living room, I installed 2 floating shelves above the sofa to hold books and a few decor pieces I love. Those shelves freed up an entire drawer I had been stuffing everything into. If you have a kitchen that's always cluttered, wall shelves can help there too. I added a small rack to hold my spices instead of keeping them in a crowded drawer. Now, not only does it look cleaner, but I can actually find what I need without digging around. What I love about using vertical space is how it opens up the floor. When things are lifted off surfaces, the whole room feels more spacious and breathable. It gives the illusion of a bigger home without needing to change anything major. And now that we've made our walls do some of the work for us, let's move into the 9th tip, a simple planning habit that keeps your home from slipping back into chaos. It's something small, but it makes staying organized so much easier. Moving straight to the 9th tip, and this one is for anyone who feels like they're constantly cleaning, yet somehow always behind. Keeping a home tidy isn't just about decluttering, it's also about having a simple rhythm, a routine that keeps things from piling up again. And the easiest way to build that rhythm is by using a note system or a simple cleaning plan. There was a time when I tried to keep everything in my head: what I needed to clean, what I needed to reorganize, what room I had been avoiding for way too long. But mentally tracking all of that is exhausting. And honestly, it's one of the reasons things slip through the cracks. So I started using a small memo board in the kitchen where I jot down weekly and monthly cleaning tasks. Nothing complicated, just a few bullet points like wipe down kitchen cabinets, deep clean the bathroom, declutter the entryway drawer, wash bedding. Seeing it written out keeps me from forgetting, and it makes the work feel manageable instead of overwhelming. If you prefer your phone, a simple reminders app works just as well. I set recurring notifications for things I always forget, like cleaning out the fridge or checking the pantry for expired items. It takes the pressure off my mind and puts the responsibility onto a system that actually remembers me. Once I started doing this, maintaining a clean home felt so much easier. I wasn't doing last-minute panic cleans anymore because the mess never had a chance to build up that far. Everything stayed lighter and more under control just because I could see what needed to be done and when. And now that we've built a simple plan to maintain the home, it's time for the final tip, a habit that keeps the whole family involved and stops clutter before it even begins. Let's move into that. Last but definitely not least, the final tip. Creating a habit of cleaning as you go. This one seems simple, but it's honestly the thing that keeps a home from slipping back into chaos faster than anything else. Most of the overwhelm we feel doesn't come from big messes. It comes from the tiny things we leave for later. The dishes after breakfast, the toys on the floor, the makeup left out after getting ready. All those little moments add up, and suddenly the house feels out of control again. I used to do this all the time. I'd tell myself I'll clean it tomorrow, and by the time tomorrow came, the mess had doubled. What finally helped was getting myself and my family into the habit of resetting the space right after using it. Nothing dramatic, just quick little resets. For example, after dinner, instead of walking away from the table, we take 2 minutes to clear the dishes, wipe the table, and load the dishwasher. After cooking, I make it a point to clean the counters and put away the ingredients before I even sit down to eat. It sounds tiny, but it keeps the kitchen from becoming a monster overnight. If you have kids or a partner, make it a shared habit. Break things down into small, doable steps. One person wipes the table, one person loads dishes, one person puts leftovers away. These micro-tasks take less than 5 minutes, and everyone feels involved. No one is stuck doing it all later. Once this becomes part of your flow, the house rarely hits that I don't even know where to start stage. You avoid those big cleaning days because the mess never gets big in the first place. Your home stays lighter, calmer, and so much easier to enjoy. And now that we've covered all 10 tips, we're ready to wrap everything together, and I have something special to share in the closing that you won't want to miss. So that's the heart of all 10 shifts we walked through today. From cutting back on what comes into your home, to giving every little thing a place to land, to building habits that keep the space running smoothly without draining you. None of them require perfection or a full weekend of cleaning. Just small, realistic changes that quietly make your home feel calmer day by day. And if you're in a place where life already feels full, try not to pressure yourself to do everything at once. Pick one thing from today's video, just one, and let it support you. If even a single tip helps you breathe a little easier, that's already enough. If you want something to follow right after this, I also have a full reset video where we clean, organize, and bring the home back to neutral together. It's perfect to play while you tidy your own space. And since we're talking about creating more space and more peace, tomorrow's video goes even deeper into that feeling. I'm sharing a story about what happened when we finally let go of the extra stuff, the extra rooms, the extra expectations, and how simplifying our home actually made us happier than we expected. It's the kind of video that might shift the way you look at your own space, so don't miss it. If today's video felt helpful, even in a small way, feel free to like the video so I know these topics matter to you. And if you want more gentle, real-life organizing content each week, you can subscribe too. You deserve a home that supports you, not one that overwhelms you, and we'll keep taking it one small step at a time together.